channel, Twitch channel that I have this streaming for productive gamers by a gamer with your host, of course, Nico Penguin. And today we have Matthew Arthur, but more commonly known as MS Arthadian. He is the creative director, or what he likes to call the lore master of a new expanding universe called the Core Realms. Arthadian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me on. I am excited to be here. Like you said, I am the creative director or lore master of the Core Realms. You can find me at Arthadian Anthologies anywhere, like on YouTube, Twitch. I'm running my own campaign for my own tabletop role playing game, and I'm sure we're gonna get into that. But like,
Mhm.
there's an expanding universe that you can explore. I'm on my 4th season of a podcast, Arthadian Anthologies, and yeah, let's just get started.
All right, perfect. So with that being said, I typically have gamers who play electronic video games, but you come
Mhm.
in with a completely new twist. And I want individuals to know, what do you play if it's not electronic game? Because again, some individuals might not even know that this exists anymore because there's so much technology nowadays. So
Yeah, yeah.
expound upon what is this tabletop game you speak of?
So I am a tabletop role playing enthusiast. I would say there's a full community out there that plays tabletop role playing games like Dungeons and Dragons. That's the most prominent one that everyone knows about. D&D, or you also have Pathfinder out there. I myself am an indie developer, so I created a tabletop role playing game from scratch called Reborn in Power,
Mm,
and it brings players into the core realms and kind of establishes a metaphysical understanding of how the universe works that I've created, and also allows people to create some epic badass characters that are just over the top
mhm.
powerful, and just allows you to customize your characters however you see fit. And it's very modular of a system. Uh it's very it's very epic. I love being able to create something from your imagination, and just allowing yourself to expand upon many different possibilities in your own head along with other friends, and basically telling an incredible story. That is the main focus of my entire passion. I love storytelling
Mhm.
to an insane degree, and that is what I have been trying to really focus on, hone down, and create for others to be immersed inside.
So is that why you say that it's an ever expanding universe because there's so many current things that you can do, but it's also giving the opportunity for additional variables and characters and whatnot to
Yes.
be added to the game?
Yes. Yeah, basically I've made the game a pop, like, basically anyone who wants to learn the system, they can
Mhm.
actually come and learn it. In any tabletop role playing game, you can actually homebrew your own mechanics for it. So like if you wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons, but you wanted to be like Star Wars Dungeons and Dragons, you could
Mhm.
go and create like Jedis inside the Dungeons and Dragons system. Inside my game, I made it a point to try to create homebrew templates so that it's easier to actually homebrew your own content. And like
Hmm.
within 30 minutes, you'll have some stuff that you can implement into the game, and test it out with your friends to see if you can play any, like, it's more sci-fi.
Mhm.
My base game is more sci-fi, but it can allow for basically any genre of story that you want to implement into the system itself. So it's genre agnostic, I would say. So it encompasses everything that you could think of.
So is it more like space oriented, but because it's space oriented, there's so many universes. Each universe has its
Yes.
own individual world, which enables you to pretty much encompass everything. Because if it's an ever expanding universe, then that means it's always going to be,
Yes.
okay,
There's
okay.
always going to be new things to explore inside of it.
Mhm, mhm.
And my focus has been to lay down a foundation for people to kind of understand where like where what I'm building.
Mhm.
I started my podcast back in 2020 when the pandemic like really first hit.
Mhm.
And that's when I was like, okay, I want to hunker down and immerse people into my universe. What's the
Right.
best way I could do that? So I just started writing down like scripts to just start telling my story, and I started to just like expand upon things that I'm inspired by is it has been Marvel, the cinematic universe.
Right.
Star Wars is a huge like a cornerstone of my entire foundation.
Yeah, yeah.
I also love Star Trek. Um and then Mass Effect. Mass Effect is like my one of my favorite games of all time, and it inspires a lot of stories inside my universe, and also Assassin's Creed as well.
Ooh, now just a quick pause on that right
Yes,
there, because
yes, yeah.
we're gonna touch base on the tabletop stuff.
Yeah,
Just a
yeah.
quick pause. What's your favorite part of the Mass Effect game?
That's a difficult question. So I I love the exploration and the characters. The characters is like the foundation of it all. I feel like it you don't when it comes to storytelling,
Mhm.
you don't follow a story because of the plot. The plot can like, give you some ideas, but like you follow for the characters, and the
Right.
characters are the thing that allows you to immerse yourself in it because you can relate to those characters. And I feel like that is a crucial element. And when Mass Effect came out, Mass Effect 2 was like the better game in my opinion. But when Mass Effect came out, they had all these different, storylines. And I also played Star Wars: The Old Republic. That was like
Mhm.
one of my things. And like BioWare was like, you know, BioWare created Mass Effect and Star Wars like the Star Wars games, like the OG Knights of the Old Republic. And
Yeah.
they always had like the different character like options. You could choose like being a paragon
Mhm.
or someone who's bad. And I like to take my stories to a larger level with my characters when it comes to like alignment, with whether it be like chaotic good, lawful good, chaotic evil, and like all that stuff.
Mm.
But like I want to add as much nuance into my stories as I can, so that you can't like you might end up rooting for the bad guy at a certain point because they are so conflicted in how they view things.
Mhm.
And or you might start hating the good character because they start doing some they just start making bad decisions, and then it just causes a domino effect. But then you also want to understand like where these characters are coming from and how their story progresses, because like, character progression is very important when it comes to storytelling. And I feel like that's what Mass Effect did very well until the very end. And then
Mhm.
I and then they kind of went down this path of, oh, we're gonna try to make alternate endings, and then they just made the ending the exact same thing. And it's just like, yeah.
No, I wanted to get that glimpse out there because, as a productive gamer, I like to try to show where the game that you love and played a lot of hours in, how that
Mhm.
actually how you translate that skill on over. And then I also wanted to ask, since you did touch on other tabletop games, I did want to ask you, was there one particular game that either you based your game off of, or you took a slight little bit of inspiration in order to like make it yours and make it more unique? And if so, which one
Yes.
was it, or was it a complete original idea?
So, I feel like there's no original ideas anymore, so it's kinda hard to. And also the tabletop role playing industry is very saturated at this point. So
Mhm.
already like thousands of different systems out there, and people are constantly making new ones, and they're all kind of like similar in their own ways. The
Mhm.
ones that I was inspired by, so I started playing Dungeons and Dragons first, but I did 4th edition, which if you talk to people who have played different editions, they usually Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition is not the best system.
Mhm.
Um, and then my one of my buddies got the Force and Destiny, Fantasy Flight Games, Star Wars game for like
Mhm.
role playing game, and so
Mhm.
we started playing that. And be being myself, I ended up creating a Sith, like a very conflicted Jedi, like rogue Sith character, and I loved every second of
Mm.
playing that entire thing. And then the system was the system was so customizable. It had different skill trees that you could choose, and then we just like started like gaining a bunch of experience and spending those experience points. And then at that point, I had already written and created my own multiverse, and I was like, wait a second, if Star Wars could do this, I could probably do this. And
Right,
so I
right.
started creating my own game. Uh,
Hmm.
but that was like a very like rudimentary system that didn't have that much into
Right,
it.
right.
I literally just went on Google Docs and I started just made a bunch of different tables for things like that. But later on, like that year when I started making it,
Mhm.
Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition came out, and that is like the most popular edition of D&D.
Mhm.
And my friends who played uh, Star Wars Force and Destiny ended up play D&D 5e. So then I 5e, and then after like several different iterations of my game system, I came to the conclusion that I needed to focus on the things that I like, which the thing that I like the most is character creation in any
Mhm.
game. So like if I am to play a game with you, I want to play like an actual role playing game, like RPG that actually
Mhm.
has a character like customization so that it's your own. And so that was like my main focus was I wanted to make an awesome character creator. Um, and that is what ended up inspiring me. So basically, Force and Destiny was like the kind of like there's parts of Force and Destiny inside my game, and then there's also parts of D&D 5e. I tried to incorporate the parts that I liked, and then from both systems, and then just kind of merge it into one, and then it kind of became a modular, uh, weird kind of game where basically now it's a
Right,
massive
right.
game, and I put in a lot of time and effort into it, and it is, I would say so. For example, there's skills, feats, and abilities inside
Mhm.
the game that you can acquire as you're leveling up your character, and there are right now over I believe there's over 100 different skills, feats, and abilities that you could choose from as you're making your character, and that's not even including the other like the other like 80 plus gear pieces that you can also that you can also take, and also you can there's a crafting system inside of it as well. So there's a huge amount of content inside of it.
Ooh, so and you started just with, like, a simple Google Docs, and you were able to, amass this almost gigantic amount of different, modifications. So, would you happen to say that almost no 2 games would be alike with all these different mods in the game?
Yeah, it basically your character you the initial plan was to actually make it into a card game, and that's
Mhm.
what I do like aspire to do. I just don't have the you know the financial ability to create a card game
Yet.
um yet. Yes, that
Yet.
is keyword, that is the keyword. um but the game itself was created so that you can actually like so you can actually have like a plethora of different skills that all like can combine with each other and like do different things, and then you can also end up creating your own so that you can end up putting it into the actual game, and then I basically I have a full network where I on my Discord server I actually do lore master lessons, so I teach people how to create inside my game. That way
Mm.
they can actually homebrew content, and then eventually what I want is to allow players or creators, new lore masters, to come on, create their own worlds, their own races, their like species,
Mhm.
their own vote, like their own skills and all that stuff, and then implement it into the game, and then I'd basically like pay them for like the content, and then the network that I'm building with all the different players, they can then access that game content specifically, so that it's like all like a part of this new expanding universe, and it continues to grow. And then everyone would have their own like different lore masters would have their own brands inside the new expanding universe and all that.
Oh my goodness, that's actually pretty massive. What gave
Yes,
you
that
the
that that is like my vision, I guess.
Yeah, what gave you that drive to be able to make the game so unique in the actual like everything is modded up, so it's like no two things, no two games, no two characters are the same.
My my initial vision for everything was I wanted to immerse players into it, but like to the extent of they're immersing themselves into something that not only I've created, but they've created. And I wanted to create something that could encompass everyone.
Mhm,
And basically I wanted to create a a new expanding universe so that people can come in and just make whatever world they wanted to create, and just build upon my foundation. And I feel like my passion has always been to lead others to creating things. Like I have a
mhm,
business partner who after I showed him my initial game, he ended up making his own game. So now he has his own unique system
mhm.
that is like a sister system to mine, and then we're kind of like marketing both ends. And he knows coding. I don't know coding, so I couldn't make an actual like text-based RPG, but he made a text-based RPG. And like
Ah,
yeah, so there's like a bunch of different elements to it, and I want to also encourage others to create as well. So I have in my Discord server other game systems, so like anyone who's creating their own tabletop RPG, I want to also promote those things, so that eventually maybe because my universe is ever expanding, maybe I could implement my own stories in other people's game systems, so
mhm.
that it's so that people can actually play in my universe with other systems apart from not only mine, but everyone's, it all encompassing, I guess.
Oh, well, that's actually pretty cool. Now, do you see yourself doing this game in particular and continuously making it larger as it goes on, or are you looking at tweaking certain things in the game?
So, what I've been able to do, so with tabletop role playing games, there are mostly rule books. So people have like,
Hmm.
like like for example, I will show you the rule book I have here. This is my game itself. It's the Chosen Codex, Reborn in Power. This is the rule book that I made, but printing costs is a lot, and I don't have enough overhead to be able to manage that. Um, but I found a way to actually make the game system online
Hmm.
specifically, which is actually at arthadiananthologies.com/studies. And what I've been doing is I'm able to now edit my game without having to print new editions of the game to fix different systems. I can actually edit on the go. If someone says like, "Hey, this system is kind of wonky. Can you see if you could like fix it up?" And then we could like have a discussion over Discord, and then we fix different things up. Or I can add in new content to the game like which is actually what I'm doing right now. I right now I have only level 1 through 4 up, but I'm
Mhm.
working on level 5 through 8, and then it goes up to level 12 eventually. And like that's like my whole thing is I'm kind of doing it at different tiers. And then basically players can come in once you get the base game, then you get all future updates to it.
Hmm.
And that is like my goal is to let people like have access to the game.
Mhm.
Um, I also do like exclusive like entries every month for subscribers too. So like that expands the universe and also adds to the game as well. And so that's on my blog. And then I'm also creating a game module, a beginner module that is actually coming. That's going to be play playtests are going to start for that sometime early 2023. Um, but yeah, the game itself is online. You can find it at arthadiananthologies.com /studies, and it's called Chosen Creation. It's you're creating a chosen, which is a chosen inside my universe is a an individual who gets different it gets basically different visions and uh dreams, like and apparitions of higher entities, godlike
Mhm.
beings come before them because they have more free will than other people throughout the universe,
Mhm.
because you're the player, so you have more free will than other people throughout the universe.
Right.
And because of that, the higher entities see you as either like a challenge to try to manipulate,
Mhm.
or see you as someone who can't be manipulated because you have free will, so they want to use you as a champion against those who would try to manipulate others. So it's like a you're like you're like an avatar for the gods
Right.
inside the universe, because you're a chosen. You've been chosen for some cosmic some cosmic event that's going to happen.
Ooh, interesting. Now, I should have asked this at the beginning, but lo and behold, it sprung up to me now. I did wanna ask you, for those that have no idea how to actually play a tabletop game, would you run down the noob tutorial for us? How would you actually do it? What's the estimated time that you would be taking to actually play the game? Is it like 30 seconds? Is it 30 hours? Is it somewhere in between? How do you play the game? How many people do you need to play the game? Just in case those that are listening or those that would be watching this later want to know, this sounds so amazing, but I have no idea how to play the game. I'm completely new at it. How would they know what it is and how to play?
So it depends on what system you're going after. Uh, if for example, my system,
Yeah,
it was
let's use
it
yours,
yeah,
only
okay.
yours. We'll
My
plug you up.
system
Yep.
my system is a it is a I would say it's a larger system. It's more for it's I've had new players before, and I've been able to
So
run
it's
run them
not for
through it.
noobs. It's not for
It's
noobs?
my system, if it
Intermediates and up?
yeah, it's intermediate and up,
Okay.
I would
Okay.
say.
Okay.
But if you were to come into my Discord, and I would show you how it works and everything. I've been able to teach new players before. Tabletop role playing games have mathematics inside of it. So like when you're playing a regular RPG on a video game, they already
Mhm.
have all the mathematics behind the different like damage types that you have, and everything like that. And then you just click buttons, and you do it. Inside top RPGs, you have to basically break it down to where you are now the actual system. You're playing the actual system, so the system has a bunch of mathematics to it. So whenever
Mhm.
you have to roll a dice, and when you roll a dice, you basically uh choosing to do something inside the universe. So for example, let's say you are a player, and then I am your lore master, and I say, "Oh, you are Nico, you are inside a dense dark forest, and before you see a bunch of brush, and you have a machete in your hand. What are you going to do?" And then you're like, "Okay, I would like to cut through all the brush and try to make my way through this
Ching.
dense forest." So then I'm gonna be like, okay, I would like you to roll me an attack roll, and then so you roll the dice, and then
Mhm.
you'd add your modifiers based off of your character sheet, what you've built your character to be,
Mhm.
and then you basically, I would say whether you succeed or fail based off of the roll. The brush, and you see the leaves all and the twigs all break apart, and before you is a path that has been cleared, and that's basically how it'll work on my game. Though when it comes to character creation, that I it's a character creation. I want it to be like super customizable. So you have like you have a bunch of options to
Mhm.
choose from, which can be overwhelming for many players. Because when you have multiple options to choose from, then and you're trying to figure out like, oh, do I want to be a mage, or do I want to be a like an operative of some kind? Do I want to be a robot? And like all these different options going through your head. So that the character creation process takes a lot of time.
Mhm.
Um, so I would say like you're going to have like an hour or two to make a character, so that you can understand like what the system's like. And then when you start playing it, you can do a one shot. Sometimes there's pre-made characters. I have pre-made characters, so you don't have to actually make a character. You just write down a name for
Do you
your
use the
character.
same character over and over again, or you have to create it every game?
You use the same character over and over again
Okay.
until you die, until your character dies, basically. And the thing about tabletop role playing games is there's like you have campaigns or one shots. So campaigns are like multiple sessions. It's like an entire
Okay, okay.
season
Yep, yep,
of
yep.
different things. So basically, you'll play one session, and then it'll end on a cliffhanger, and then you'll meet up next week with your all your friends, and and then you'll continue where you left off with that, and then like all and then you also have also have like multiple friends playing with you at the same time. Right now, most games are like 4 to 5 players are like is the sweet spot
Okay.
for them. My game is unique because it can actually allow for really good solo play. So meaning, let's say you made a character and then I'm your lore master and you don't have anyone else playing with you. It's good for solo play, so you can actually play by yourself and still manage to stay alive because of all the different like your gear that you have on
Mhm,
and
mhm.
your skills and all that stuff. But it is a lot of fun to have a lot like more players, because then there's like a you'll have more ideas pop up, because sometimes you'll get stumped. If a player will get stumped about something because the lore master has like some kind of puzzle that you have to figure out, and then the player is just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And uh the the lore master, or like dungeon master, game master, their job is to make sure that the player is able to kind of get through everything,
Mhm.
challenge them, but not challenge them to a point where they hate playing. So it's
Mm.
like a finesse with it, and also you're improvising a lot because you're improvising storytelling elements,
Right.
because the player is like the player can, like, let's say a lore master decides like, okay, I'm going to plan for them to go to this city and meet
Mhm.
this character so that they can go down this plot line. And then the player's like, I'm gonna go to that city over there. It's like, I didn't plan for that. I didn't plan for that. And then they start going to that city. It's like, okay, what do I do? And that's a lot of the lore master behind it. But
Mhm.
usually you can have modules, and the modules are like a plot line that kind of takes players on a journey. And most of the time players like, I find that most of my players end up following the plot line and not diverting too much, and that they're smart about following certain story threads that I give them. But yeah, Sorry, I'm going on a ramble
Oh,
right
no
now.
worries, no worries. And then how long do you say, would a specific campaign, because you mentioned that it's like a whole season, so what would one sitting look like in terms of time, for
So
those 3 to 4 players or 1 player?
so one session can run between an hour and a half to about sometimes they can run for a very long time, but I would say 1 hour to 3 hours is like the typical session.
Mhm.
Um, then you have campaigns. Campaigns are like level 1 to level like 8 and stuff. And so that can last up to 6 months to a year of consistently playing different game sessions. And this is like you are creating the story. You're
Mhm.
creating a storytelling like collaborative experience with all your friends with you, and it's a continuous thing. And there's going to be ups and downs throughout. You are getting pissed off at your friends because they're making stupid decisions as their characters, or one of the players characters ends up dying right in front of you, and you actually like ball your eyes out because of how impactful the story has been. It's like when you're watching a TV show and your favorite character ends up dying, and you're just like no. And but this is, like, on a different level because
Mhm.
you have been playing this character for months now, and you've been working alongside all these other characters, and they have, like there's a huge impact in the emotionality behind it all.
Hmm. So, and when you mentioned that multiple campaigns can be 6 months, to almost a whole year, would that be like once a week at the 3 to 4 hour range, or would somebody be able to complete that campaign if they did like 2 to 3 times a week?
It really depends on the lore master,
Ah,
or the game master, because they're the one who's actually the storyteller in this instance. They're the one who is weaving a story that is spanning these months and sometimes years. Um, and it really depends on that, and usually, it is once a week. If you can get a good group, it is once a
gotcha.
week
Hmm.
because people's schedules don't align up very well. Um, but yeah, if you can get a good group for once a week, uh, uh, being able to do it like twice a week or like multiple times a week is you have an amazing group and they have no life. They have no life. But
Oh,
yeah.
that's funny. Okay. So that makes sense, because I'm still advocating for those that might be joining and might not have no idea how to
Mhm.
play tabletop, games, because even if they're completely noobs at it and you need, to be intermediate and they're thinking, "Oh, that game sounds so much fun." What do you think would be the requirement needed in order to go from a beginner to an intermediate? Would they need to play a specific other game that you would recommend in order to first play your game? Or is there, some way, somehow, to make the jump? Would it just be, trying to reach you on Discord and, having you give them like a quick rundown or tutorial? Or, what are your thoughts on having that complete noob, that wants to play your game? Because the way that you're saying is so intriguing. What would
Mhm.
you say to them?
So I am currently actually working on a beginner module. So
Ah.
and that is going to be a module so that if you're wanting to become the lore master for a group of friends that you
Mhm.
want them to make characters for, uh, you can actually this beginner module will take you through the process of running your own little mini campaign, which will span probably like I would say 6 months, depending on on your ability to plan out the sessions and all that stuff. Um, when it comes to players, the easiest thing would be to use the pre-made characters so that you understand how the system works before you actually start it. If you've played Dungeons and Dragons before, like fifth edition, it is it you'll have a lot better understanding of how the game would work.
Mhm.
Um, Fifth edition is good because it has allowed more new players to come into the tabletop RPG scene, and it's like it is the name brand that everyone knows. Um, and then there's also other game systems like Pathfinder. Pathfinder is it's very similar to how my system is.
Mhm.
That one's more of an intermediate one because it's based off of the 3.5 edition of D&D, and that one had more customization, like how mine does.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I would say if you wanna hop into my Discord server, you can. It is available on my YouTube channel, Arthadian Anthologies. If you look it up, you can go to one of the episodes, and then like right in the description of each episode that I have on there, you can actually watch me playing with my players on like in my campaign that I'm running, and you can also join the Discord there. And when you join the Discord, you can chat with all of us, and I can run you through if you want to make a character. We can
Mhm.
set up a time and run you through the system and making you an actual character of your own. Or you can use the pre-made characters, and we could just run through like a little mini one shot, which is just one session, and you're doing like one mission to see how the system works and
Mhm.
how f- how how you can survive inside a little like story.
Now, for those that might be wondering, what do you think creating this game as well as playing the genre of tabletop games, RPGs, what do you think this enables you to learn, not just in the game, but also skill set on your day-to-day life, or whether you're 9 to
Mhm.
5 or whether outside in your personal life? Do you find that there's things that you learn in the game or creating the game that you realize like, wow, I didn't know this about myself, or I can do this a little bit easier because I've played this game or
Yeah.
was creating the game?
Yeah, so tabletop RPGs are great if you it's like a simulation to running how to negotiate with different people because you're role playing. Let's
Mm.
s let's say so I'm your lore master,
Mhm.
and you are looking for new gear to buy, and
Mhm.
I'm over here, and I am like a vendor inside the universe, and
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
you are like you're wanting to negotiate down the price because the price is too high. So then I'm like, okay, how are you going to negotiate this price? How are you going to speak this? And maybe your character has a high charm score, so then you're
Mhm.
gonna be like, oh, well, sir, let me tell you something right here. And like you can actually learn new ways to negotiate, like in like real life. Like one of my friends, he got so good at playing charismatic characters that
Mhm.
he started to be like super charismatic in his day life, and was able
Really?
to score a 9 to 5 job that was out in like LA. I live in Southern California. Out in LA, it was like a tech company, and he got like a really good job because he's just so charismatic now because he kept playing charismatic characters inside role playing games.
Wow, maybe a lot of
Yeah,
people should play more charismatic,
it's
but that's just
hard.
one particular game. What
Yeah,
about the
that
other character traits that you can pick up?
you can yeah, so you can pick up different aspects of things. And like for example, like for me, when I've been creating this game, I realized that I've become a lot more skilled at being able to I would say figure out how to balance certain mechanics inside games. So
Mm,
if I were to go to an actual gaming company, I could actually I would probably be able to take apart the system, and then tell you whether or not it is balanced enough to where it's not like you're not game breaking it, or it's like it's too hard to a point where you can't do anything as a player. there are also ways where like I mean, I've gotten a lot better at math, I would say too.
Mm.
Like it's like you people who aren't good at math, it takes some time to learn these games because you're it's sometimes it's easier math, but sometimes you'll be adding things
Yeah, yeah.
and you're just like, what is that? And it takes some time to figure it out. But yeah, you the more you play it, the easier it becomes, and you'll end up learning how to socially interact with a bunch of different people, and problem solving skills is huge
Mm.
because there'll be problems inside the world that you have to figure out, and you have to figure it out because it's life and death for your
Right,
character.
right, right.
Yeah.
Wow, so there's so and I'm pretty sure there's like a gazillion more positive reasons. Like just that alone about the charm, that's definitely got to be in your marketing if you ever decide to do marketing. Be like, hey, my game was able to help this guy land this job, so I could teach you a few things with my game. Now that did also make me think, what is the age range? So what would you recommend for like the youngest? Would like 13, 8, 10, 15, 18 and up, like what is the age range of your particular game?
For my game, I would say 18 and up, because I mean, you actually probably 16. It really depends because there's a lot of adult themes inside my game, like,
Okay.
and
Mhm.
I don't like to sugarcoat things when it comes to like my universe and how things are.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
there are other tabletop RPGs. So if you wanna get your kids into tabletop RPGs early, there are like actual games where like for that have been made for kids.
Right, right.
Um, my game definitely is mostly for adults, I would say.
Okay.
Young adults can play it, but like I would say if you're an adult who's looking for a new system and like to play, if you're a tabletop RPGer who's been playing for a long time and you're looking for a new system to play that's complex enough to kind of keep you on your mental on your mental feet, uh Reborn and Power is the game for you, I would say.
Ooh, perfect. And last few things. So for somebody that does want to play the game, how would they go about trying to get other individuals to play the game? Is there any specific way for them to try to like find somebody, or they would just have to like convince somebody else to join in? How would like they try to get the ideal 3 to 4 individuals involved in the game?
So that is one of the things that I want to do, is I want to actually have my community be able to start up their own games for Reborn Power, so they like anyone who's joining it, who's inside the Discord, they could actually just be like, "Oh, MS Arthadian is busy right now because he's working on all the games. Are there any other lore masters who might want to play with me?" And then there's other people inside. So it's mostly online right now. But if you have friends who like just they're curious and they want to try it out, then when the beginner module comes out, they can just be like, I got the beginner module and I have all this stuff. You guys can have pre-made characters, or I can help you like build your own characters, and then you just have the rules for building a character.
Mhm.
And then you like it sometimes it's fun when you have everyone at the table and you're all making characters, because then you're just like, oh, what are you gonna be? Oh, I want to be this. It's like, oh, can we kind of like spitball ideas off of each other, this to see if maybe like our characters' backstories like intertwine at a certain point. Like maybe maybe you were like a commander in the military, and
Mhm.
then I joined the military an operative, and then we kind of came together inside the same squadron, and we kind of built up a like our own little mini squadron, and then everyone's like a military officer of some kind inside the universe, and you guys go on like dog fights, going inside pods, fighting off. I haven't made space combat yet, but that will be coming in 2023 as well. So I'm gonna be like expanding out in space. Right now, the module is gonna be on a specific world, and then players are
Mhm.
gonna be able to explore different cities and different like cultures to and basically it's gonna be like an investigation mystery kind of story for them to expand upon.
So two questions then, because you mentioned something that made me so intrigued. So, are you saying that the game is allowed to pretty much be virtual? Like, instead of having being face to face, you can do it like streaming with each other, either like on Twitch or like on the Discord
Yes,
server, where you
yes.
would have somebody that's more either well known with the tabletop game genre be the lore master in order to not just play by yourself, but actually play with somebody else who would also be intrigued in the game.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I would say that is the whole point of what I'm trying to build is I want to I I I am usually I'm the only lore master currently because the game just came like the game's rules just came out back in October. So
Mhm.
I like right now I'm the only lore master, and once the beginner module comes out, I'm sure there will be other people who are going to be learning how to actually run the games. So then people who join the Discord, they can pick up a pre-made character that has been made, and then they could be like, okay, who's running the beginner module because I want to be a part of it, and then have like four players hop into a Discord chat and then just start like the campaign off with a session zero, I would say.
Ah, and then would you suggest somebody to go through like a personality test of like what kind of game character that they would prefer to be like, or like, because I've seen so many times where it's like take this test to learn what kind of dungeons ugh, what kinda game character you should be like, and
Yeah,
take
yeah.
this quiz. Is there something like that as well, or is it a little bit, like, more complicated, a little bit easier, a little bit more, robust, like, or is there one where it's just, like, you gotta actually see the pre-select first, and then you'll get a hang of, what kind of character you'd wanna play as?
So I would say that most people that I found usually like the priest, like they basically they don't go in with an idea with a character concept
Mm.
before they don't go in like
Mhm.
with the character concept beforehand, and that is usually overwhelming for them because now they have all these different like choices to make,
Yeah.
and that's for every tabletop RPG that I can think of. Like whenever I've had D&D 5e players, like new players come on and try to play like D&D 5e, like make a character for it,
Mhm.
they're always like overwhelmed with the choices, even though 5e doesn't have as many choices as my game would have. So I always suggest to players come up with with a character concept, a basic character concept in mind of like what you want to have, and then build the character based off of that. So like for example, like, let's say inside my universe, like, let's say you wanna be a space elf who has cybernetic enhancements and is a military officer that goes around and, crafts different gear for their party. And so you based off of that concept that you just created, I can guide you through the process of just making that character. Or like you can find the
Mm.
options to make that character within the system. And like my system is so crazy that you could end up being like, okay, I want to make a robot who is also a mage, and they're an assassin who goes around and takes like a bunch of different mechanical like magic abilities and kills people. And so I'll guide you in making a robot, choosing a mage like class for it, and then or choosing specific skills that allow you to
Mhm.
be a mage, and then also adding in different assassin skills as well, because my game is modular. It's kind of like it's like the Lego version of tabletop RPGs, so you can like build upon your character in different ways.
That is very intriguing, and I'm glad that you were able to join us in
Mhm.
giving this like super detailed background of where you got the inspiration from, even especially my favorite parts is knowing the productivity purposes of the game. Definitely like the way that you're going about it. Give everybody the opportunity to let them know once again where they can find you, where they can support you, and as well, if anybody was interested in funding or investing, collaborating, because you mentioned that there's certain things that you haven't done yet, and that
Mhm.
somebody with a big check might be able to help do so. Let them know where they can make something happen.
So my main place that you can find me is arthadiananthologies.com. You can subscribe as a chosen. Currently, right now, I'm doing a promotion. Um, so right now, chosen subscribers, it costs $5 like per month, and you get exclusive content as well as the game system, and then any future like exclusive content that's come out. Right now, I'm doing a promotion until December 31st for 50% off that subscription tier
Mhm.
uh, for 12 months. So people can get like for 250 a month, they can get the game and the exclusive content that I've already made, and they can support me in my progress to build this expanding universe, and work with me in they can actually become a player inside my universe. I have a bunch of different players. I have like right now, like I said before, four to five players is good. I have
Mhm.
about like 10 to 12 players that I'm running through everything, and I have a bunch of different storylines that I run. Um, but yeah, going on to arthadiananthologies.com, subscribing there. Uh, you can find me on Twitter at MSArthadian. You can find me on Instagram at MSArthadian or at Reborn and Power RPG. Um, you can find me at YouTube, Arthadian Anthologies, and watch the New Age campaign that I've been running. We're now 3 episodes in, and my players are goofy and funny and very interesting. And I'm also on Spotify, Arthadian Anthologies. That is the podcast, and that one is like if you want to go a deep dive into my universe, that is
Mhm.
where you'll find everything like lore wise and universe wide, like wide storylines and all that stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of places you can find me.
Hey, no, that's exactly what we wanted to hear, where they can reach out to you for any potential collaboration or just to view your material to see how the game is played. Um, and did you mention where they can go to find your Discord as well?
Oh, I do the New Age campaign on YouTube, and there are links in description for those. And yeah, I'll make sure to watch out for anyone who pops in, and I'll be like, hey, what's up? I'm here.
Well, guys, you heard it here from the one and only MS Arthadian, the creative director, the lore master of a new expanding universe called The Core Realms. Be sure to check him out. You heard it here, the game that he is playing, the game he is creating, the game that he is dedicating his uh, blood, sweat, and tears to, that enabled a friend
Yeah.
of his to be able to, go above and beyond what they were doing. So, other than that, I want to wish you a very happy holidays. Take care and be safe. Okay.
Happy holidays.